I'm Mike, ArtificerDM's community manager, and this is our community Fireside. Within our budding little community, I have the pleasure to really say to solidify some specific yet broad statements right now. So I can say without a second guess and without a second thought that I'm joined by the most active and creative member we have in the community. I'm on this stage where I can say that. I'm joined by JD. Welcome, man.
Nice to be here.
So I'm gonna be very honest, and this is for those who are watching in the future, but we're shooting this on a Sunday, and I don't know if you know this, JD, but I don't record content on Sunday. I run games, but I don't record content. But you are not only a member in ArtificerDM, but you're also my wonderful player, and my weekly campaign that I run, and I love playing with you. And any excuse to have some fun times with JD is always warranted. So when you said you were down for this, I was like, heck yeah, I don't care. Let's go. Weekend time.
Yeah, for sure. Happy to be here. Like you said, you had a session tonight, and then it ended up not having enough people, so it seemed kind of perfect time.
How long have you been doing roleplay, TTRPG?
I've only been doing TTRPG for about 3 years, actually. Still fairly new to it.
Really?
Really, yeah.
You bring such an air of kind of like old hat experience, where I thought you were doing this for way longer, 10 years at least. Full honesty.
No, not nearly that long. I think part of it is, so I may have told you this story before, but the first TTRPG I ever played, I was actually the DM.
Wait.
Yes.
What were you playing?
We were playing D&D. So kind of the way it happened was, let's see, my wife and my brother and my sister-in-law and my sister would get together and have like a game night, and we would typically play board games. There was the re-release of Heroes Quest here, and it's a board game that's kind of D&D light, for lack of a better way to describe it.
Wait, is this the one with the VHS?
No.
Oh,
it's a straight board game. Anyway, so I played it when I was younger, but much like D&D, it takes 3 to 4 hours to play, probably, in that ballpark. And it was at my cousin's house, so we, didn't get a chance to play it a lot. But then I got older, and they re-released it, and my brother bought it, and so he brought it to game night. And there's sort of a DM-esque character, like one of the players plays a DM-esque type person, named Zargon. And what Zargon does is Zargon runs the monsters and just tells the players what happens in the dungeon. So it's kind of like a DM, but with like 1% of the power of a DM. So we played Heroes Quest for a while, and I started to get kind of bored with Zargon. And so at the time, we're like, hey, why don't we try, D&D? Well, no one in my group had played it, and I had never played it. So somebody naturally has to be the DM to play a game of D&D. And so I stepped up, and literally the first session was like I think I've used this analogy before. It was the meme, right? Where you have everybody around the table, first-time players, and the DM is like, I've never played before. Well, I've never played either, so who knows if we're doing it right or wrong.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you started off, Zargon, was it? So that you started as a storyteller in the beginning, and then you essentially got allocated to Forever DM since the beginning.
Kind of, yeah.
Well, since it sounds like, and it's confirmed that you were sort of the storyteller since the very beginning and kind of ran that, it almost also, like, was it that you stepped up where people were like, you should do it again? Like, people almost, like, voted you in to be the next DM.
I don't know if it was so much voted in as I stepped up because I knew that if it was going to happen, I would have to be the DM. Like, no one else was going to do it, right?
Well, it's always hard to self-congratulate yourself, but to put you on the spot, because it does seem like you were at least confident enough to step into the spot again, is there an aspect of TTRPG or D&D specifically that you think you excel in?
I really like my magic items. I do.
Yeah. Some
people struggle with magic items, but they haven't really ever given me too much problem. So I do, and I did resend the link for my homebrew folder. So if you can open it, you can look at some of the stuff.
Oh, I will have it open as we go through it. Heck yeah.
I do have a story about my second session though. First session went okay because there was no combat. The second session though, so see, they had gone to like local ruins, right? Level 1 adventure. Yeah. And there were these ochre jellies, right? Basic like slimes. Classic D&D monster. And for anyone who doesn't know this, when an Akrojelly crits, it can kill a level 1 bard outright.
Oh no.
Just flat dead. No
Yeah.
death saves, straight to death. My sister's bard, who, like, there are, looking back, there were multiple DM mistakes I made going into this. The first one was I made them roll for stats and I made them keep the stats, and she rolled really badly on her stats. I mean, atrociously bad. I should have been like, oh, those are bad stats, just use point buy.
Yeah.
But, you know, never done it before, so just rolled with it.
I know we were just talking about Homebrew. I absolutely adore Homebrew. All the worlds I make are Homebrew. A lot of the monsters I grab and shift. And I think, I'm not sure if you feel the same way, but I feel this sort of expectation when it comes to players and DMs who play the game for so long, that it's not that they're consciously metagaming, but subconsciously everyone's like, oh, I'm fighting a troll, I should use fire. It's kind of like subconsciously you're like, okay, I know I should be doing this, because if not, I'm just acting stupid. I love Homebrew, and I know you do too, because we're trying to work it out where you send me a list. But how much Homebrew do you build?
Build in use or just build in general?
Just build in general, man. Yeah.
3 megabytes worth. Let's go with that.
Oh wow. Okay.
Which in Word docs is a fair number of fair number of magic items and creatures. Nothing too sexy in the creatures, really. Lots of magic items.
Is there any one magic item that you're very proud of, one that sort of stands out?
I like Necromire. I haven't yet seen if Necromire is fully balanced yet. I haven't playtested it enough, but I do like Necromire. Let's see. I've been able to share individual things with you before, so
yeah.
Let me go ahead and drop that. This is intended to be an item that is in many ways game changing. It's very powerful.
Okay, Necromire is a quarterstaff artifact that requires attunement by wizards, so only by our smart boys. This staff is a darkened wood that is twisted and contorted with black veins of energy. And I love when things pulse for some reason. It gives it a very, like, living, creepy vibe, which very much by just the name kind of gives it this experience. I love descriptions like this.
When you say living, and literally the next thing is sentience, right?
Oh, is it? Yeah, it is, literally.
It is.
Atop the staff, partially encased by wood, is a pale green crystal which pulses with a sinister pale green light. Sentient artifact. Oh boy. That's also great when it comes to, like, visual storytelling, when just by a small description of, like, something's moving and living, it's hints for further down the line. So that's a great add-in. I can see here, the Necromire can speak telepathically with its wielder, understands all languages spoken by the wielder. That's good. As well as Elvish. Okay. So, I'm only assuming that this is like a story beat item. This is tied somewhere due to the story.
Yep. So there's a really long story about this item if you want me to tell it.
We may not have the time, but I'm going to assume here that the original user or the person who got absorbed is an elf or of elf descent.
So this is artifact, actually fairly new, is created in the time frame of the campaign. And sort of in the world I run, it's a homebrew world, but it didn't start out as my homebrew world. I took it over from a DMO to step away. There's like another continent of undead pharaohs, right? Who are trying to sort of take over the continent that has civilization, right? And so they are sort of puppeteering one of the superpowers on the civilized continent, or trying to at least, and they gave them instructions on how to make this artifact. And the reason it's Elvish is because Satara, yeah, that's the name of the continent. The pharaohs of Satara I'm playing off their language as sort of being an archaic form of Elvish.
Oh, understood. Okay, so it has a directive, so it has to have at least this knowledge and
Right.
this verbiage in case
And
they ever come across. Got it.
yeah, and actually, I think if I get later, it talks about how to destroy it. Yeah, it actually has the soul of one of the pharaohs in it. He is the soul of the sentience, right?
The goal of this staff is to spread the influence of undeath and slowly bend the will of its wielder towards serving the pharaohs. Oh no.
Yeah.
But surely an item this evil and with this dense of a backstory and goal is probably a really badass item, though.
Oh yeah, look at the properties. They get.
So it's already a +2 to attack and damage rolls, which is great, especially with magic. +2 to magic is actually kind of, for me, I don't see enough of it. Where it's like you roll firebolt +2. You know, that's
Right.
it's not something that's normally seen when you're always guaranteed some points of damage. That's great. Let's see. When you're holding it, you gain a +2 to armor class, saving throws, and your spell save DC goes up, I'm assuming?
Mm-hmm. Armor class, saving throws, spell save DC, and spell attack rolls.
Okay. All right, so immediately, no wonder this earns the artifact category. That this is
It's not. It's not done yet.
It's not okay. You know the chill touch. Can I be honest? Chill touch is honestly my favorite cantrip. It is.
I mean, there's a very evil DM thing to do, which is to give a big bad chill touch and then make it a legendary action because it's a cantrip. It costs 1, and just throw it out there. You know, nobody healing.
DC is an 18. Oh, that's if you were to use the innate spellcasting abilities from Necromare. If you're using your own innate spellcasting, you use your stuff +2.
Right.
Understood. In terms of the spells that Necromare has at the ready, it is Animate Dead, of course. I have to. I have a question for one of these, but I'm going to get to that in a second. There's Blight, Great Dead, Finger of Death, and Teleport. Oh, I'm always 7 charges of teleport. This is a fucking beast of a staff. What is JD's Wall of Bones?
To be honest, I haven't made it yet.
Oh, okay.
But what it's gonna be is it's gonna be kind of like a wall of fire, but instead of fire, it's gonna be bones. I think it's one of those things is, yeah, you pull it up. It does some bludgeoning damage initially, but then you get close to it, a bone's going to come out and try to hit you, you know, and do some more bludgeoning damage. So I had the idea for it. I haven't actually written it up yet, though.
No worries. Yeah, no, that's... For some reason, my mind went straight to, like... I don't know why it went this way, but it went to, like, Mortal Kombat, like Shang Tsung, where they're, like, pulling up skeletons from the ground.
Okay, I mean, kind of like that, but...
Yeah, I don't know. Control Undead... have to have it when it comes to an evil staff like this. You have to have a thing. You raise the undead. That's great. You're animating them. Let's keep control on them. That's nice. Vile Command. It is specifically tuned to the zombie plague virus.
Mm-hmm.
As an action, you can automatically control any virus-infected zombie within 1 mile for 1 hour. These zombies... follow your commands without question, and there is no limit to the amount of zombies that can be controlled at once. So there's a plague.
The pharaohs are pharaohs are puppeteering this nation, and they gave them the ability to make this plague, right? And then they gave them the ability to control it with this staff. And so the idea behind the zombie plague virus is if you get bit, as long as you don't go down, you're fine. If you get bit and you die, then in a minute you come up as a zombie. It's basically intended like a super weapon. But without the staff, there's no controlling it, right? It's just a zombie plague. Unless you have the staff, then you can sort of control the horde.
Okay, that's breaking my brain for a second. There's a reason for it. One, zombies are completely underpowered in D&D baseline. Absolutely underpowered. when I think of zombies, I think of all the Hollywood movies where it gets really bad really quick because the whole point of a zombie is that it spreads. That doesn't much happen in terms of D&D, so I'm happy that you have thought of that and have built a plague from these undead pharaoh zombie creatures. That also is scary because if anything were to happen to the staff, what if I throw it into the Astral Sea? All of a sudden, no one has control in this plague. That's actually really scary.
Yeah, it's kind of worse.
I'm imagining.
But to control it, you have to attune to this, sentient evil staff that's trying to control you.
That's. Oh, it's a catch-22.
Yep.
Because imagine a situation where someone was like, the mayor's like, you got to go to the Astral Sea or wherever this staff was flung to, because zombies are out of control and maybe we can stop this. And the players go, great. They go get the staff and immediately they're starting to they attune to it and then bad things happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Oh, there's layers here. There's so many layers. Necrotic Rebuke. When hit by a melee attack, you can use your reaction to release a burst of necrotic energy. Con save 18 or take 4d6 necrotic damage or half on success. It's always nice to have a really good Hellish Rebuke. Always nice to have that.
Especially when you're a squishy wizard and somebody is up close to you, right?
That's valid. I forgot. Yeah, this is for wizards only. That's pretty valid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Raise Dead. Grand. We got more usage of it. Perfect. Aura of Undeath. Okay. I'm feeling some paladin vibes here. Emanates a 30-foot radius or aura of necromantic power. All undead within the area gain resistance radiant. Oh no. An advantage on saving throws against being turned. Yeah, this feels paladin-ish, like I'm protecting my boys.
And kind of anti-paladin, yeah.
An anti-paladin. Ooh.
A little bit.
That is an experience I've had in the past where most paladin mains play the game and play their characters like I'm good at everything, because technically paladins kind of are. High-level paladins, they're kind of versatile. They're healers, they're spellcasters, they're damage dealers. If they take the right feats, they're skill monkeys if they need to be. They're charismatic, they're strong. It's like, what aren't you? It's great that a wizard can come by and go, just give a damn. Stop everything you're doing. Or clerics,
Yep.
you got no control here.
Mm-hmm.
Undead detection, you can passively sense all undead types and directions within 120 feet of you while conscious. Great to organize. Always good to organize.
Mm-hmm.
You gave the Devil's Sight, so you get that Eldritch Evocation. This thing is beyond powerful and scary. I think any BBG that's holding this, and if we learn it through lore, run the. Actually, I think at that point you're gone, because 1 mile radius of controlling undead, you're surrounded.
Yep. This party that I introduced this to is also incredibly overpowered. Like the DM before me made them a very, very high caliber party. When I first took over, I just spent my encounters just cranking up difficulty until I was like, okay, here we can challenge you guys. But it took me, I don't know how many sessions, just how many combats, just to find, like, I gotta crank this up to 11 for you guys, just to make it even somewhat challenging.
Just drop the moon on them at that point. Just be like, the moon's falling down. Fight the moon.
Fight the moon, yeah. So no, this was the counter, one of the counters to having a very powerful party.
Undead resolve, you're immune to frightened condition, and then cursed nature. Necromare is deeply cursed, I would say so, and bonded by the pharaohs. And while attuned to the staff, where Wielder gains immense power of the undead. We've seen it. It's laid out for us, absolutely. At great costs. I feel it. It constantly whispers to the wielder, eroding their sense of self. Oh, that's such a great verbiage on what it's doing. That makes it so much scarier when you put it down on paper.
Yeah.
The longer they wield it, the more they feel compelled to follow the will of the pharaohs. For each week, they must succeed a DC 20 charisma save or fall. So, upon failure, they relinquish. At that point, they're relinquished. The PC's dead.
I mean, you're basically under the control of dominate person, right? Now, there are ways to forcibly break attunement to things.
That's valid. That's true.
So, they're not dead. You can bring them back, but yes.
Oh boy. Oh, and you do have a details of how to destroy it.
Yep. Yeah, well, it's an artifact. You gotta have details on how to destroy an artifact.
Yeah, there's some significance. So Necromare can only be destroyed by being must be taken to the Tomb of Everlasting Pharaohs, deep within the necropolis of your world. I forgot the name of it once again, but once there, it must be stuck against the sarcophagus of an everlasting pharaoh whose soul was bounded to the staff. Oh, you got to find that person.
You can find their sarcophagus.
Oh, so this does become a quick. Yeah, this is an investigation adventure. You got to go through tomes and go through
Travel to a whole other continent.
The whole thing. Doing this breaks the bond of the soul and the staff and destroys it. I would definitely, and this is just because the way I am, I would most definitely make it that, like, the voice that's whispering to you is the kindest person. Just the kindest voice who's like, hey, it's okay. You're having a rough time out there, and I totally get it. Why don't you let me take control? Until a point where they're just like, no, I wasn't asking. And then...
Yeah.
Well, I want to pick your brain on something.
Okay.
I've been mulling over this concept for a while. And I think this is we'll settle this thing, and then we'll call it a fireside. But when it comes to world building, we have to make a lot of things. Right? That's like, the cities, the continent, the surrounding biomes and things and such, including factions. What's a world without people living in it, without collaborating and sort of having individual goals? And maybe it's just me. This is where I sit in this line. But thieves guilds, specifically thieves guilds, which is really funny considering your character in my weekly game, I tend to make them more competent and honestly a bit more morally sound, or at least more open about the gray stuff that they're doing compared to up top organizations. Maybe it's just me, but it's like the kings and crowns and maybe like guild leaders, those who work above top, who are running the show that everyone kind of knows. I tend to make them a little bit more evil than the actual things that actually people who are like, yeah, we're killing people. We're actively doing sabotage and murder. Maybe it's just me, but for some reason I think these guilds are probably more morally gray than those above.
What you asking me if I think thieves guilds are sort of
what do you
my thoughts on thieves guilds?
What do you say? What do you think? Do you think if you build a thieves guild, are they straight up murderers, like the way you build it? Like, would it be like, don't cross us, we're a gang?
Well, I think the way I don't want to put it in the context of whatever the country is, right?
True.
Because I think the morals and sort of socially acceptable things of whatever country you're in are going to define your thieves guild. Because maybe your sort of the morals of the country are it's not stealing; it's people who have the power get to take what they want, right? There's no such thing as stealing. I can take it, I possess it, therefore it's mine. That is certainly a way to structure a moral system. In that case, are they even a thieves guild, right? Yeah. Perhaps not. They're just banding together to share the wealth, so to speak. But if you look at like Forgotten Realms and the Zentarum, who are the Black Network, right? Forgotten Realms operate in sort of say traditional sort of Western morality, don't murder, don't steal. So they're like, people know how to get a hold of them, and when things are really against the wall, The Lord's Alliance and those in charge are calling the Zentaran to be like, hey, we know you're up to some shady crap, but we kind of need your help.
Yeah. I
So I would want to put it in context of like, I would want to build the country out and see, because the morals of the country, I think, are going to drive the Thieves Guild for me.
no, that's completely fair. And kind of jumping back to the idea of like what we were talking about Critical Role, really what cemented and sort of was the budding of this question or sort of this mentality was in campaign 1. I remember there was a moment where Thordak, again, I love Critical Role, but I don't memorize everything. But they are going back to the main city, and Thordak is there. And I remember Taliesin was like, we should go find the Thieves Guild, because if all organizations above table or above ground have faltered, there should be one group that should still be running things. And that is probably a Thieves Guild underground, because they were never hit before, because they were never seen. And I was like, that makes sense. That's where this bud comes. That's why, like for our game, The Raven's Kiss, they're well organized. They have secret things everywhere. They've got their own kind of like system going on. They have their own sort of like almost like a guild system. Like, oh, if you want to go out and get some coin, you can.
Right. And for that, like for our game, you're the DM, but I always read it as like Raven's Kiss is also muscle in a lot of ways, because the country's militaries are kind of less formalized from what I've seen in your world, at least, right?
Yeah.
Looking at the kingdom operates in small troops, not so much in large armies, at least the way you describe it. And then the domain doesn't even have troops, right? They have individual soldiers. So I think having them, even in the sense of like, hey, we can hire the Raven's Kiss to be our navy, right? We can have them go out and protect our seas, because we don't have a very formalized army.
Yeah. The great thing about that too is that they do work in that aspect of like, we can be your muscle, but we're company A. We're not who you think you are. And then everyone behind the scenes is the Thieves Guild, and they're controlling the little pawn pieces. But I like that concept that Thieves Guilds should be super organized, because if you're running a guild, a collection of different individuals with different skill sets, without being caught, you better have a good book, man. This person better be great, must be amazing at organizing. It's all it's all like paper at that point, just like getting everyone to the places they need to be, and protocols if anything ever goes awry.
Well, and a fence, right? You gotta have a good fence. Doesn't do you any good to steal anything if you can't turn it into money.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all of this. It has to be super organized, which is really funny, because to me, if you were to get a king involved, like above table, if you were to get a king involved, he'd go, well, I'm wealthy. I have royal lineage. I already have like this established place of worship, because people saw my father, my mother, and we're worshiping. So we go down this bloodline. And I already have this pre-established military that runs itself, that has like little blips and blops. They go over there and they do their thing. It feels less organized at that point. I know they're probably delegating, but not all the hands and not all the people are talking to each other.
Yeah, you get a case of sort of the highest boss doesn't necessarily know what's going on. Whereas in the Thieves Guild, almost always, big boss knows all the little details.
I love that's a great way to explain it. Yeah, I love the idea of a big boss knowing everything. Your kingpin, who's like, I've read
the Godfather, right?
The Godfather. In our other case, it's like Arth in the Shadow. It's like someone. Yeah, I'm pulling from a concept of my own game, but it's like all these little bad guys who are like, I know where we have our hands in.
Right.
So
very good at bookkeeping of exactly all of our resources and where they're at and what they're doing at the time.
Yeah. Because if I don't have this, we're gonna get caught. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe other people online will think otherwise, saying maybe running a above table military and kingdom is probably a little bit more difficult. It probably is. I don't know. But that's my mindset on it.
That's why the king's got to delegate, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness.
Think he's got time to sit there and just watch troop movements? No, he's got better things to do. He's the king.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he's having dinners. He's going to places.
Right.
You know, we gotta. Sometimes you gotta visit the neighboring country and sort of make an appearance.
Work out trade deals.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh my god, I'm so glad that none of my games have heavy political standpoints. I never want to jump into that.
I think it'd get kind of boring, to be completely honest, right? I mean, have you watched like C-SPAN for 5 minutes?
Well, thank you so much, JD, for joining me for this little fireside. Hopefully, I'm able to jump into your folder and see all the amazing things you've created. We'll figure it out. It'll get there.
Yeah, I'll get it figured out. See what's going on.
But yeah, we'll check you guys next time. Don't forget to head over to ArtificerDM, create an account, and join us in the Discord. Bye.